Hi, welcome to Made in Asia, a new podcast series by Lifestyle Asia. Today we have a very special guest with us. He's a very talented chef and the proud owner of Province Singapore. Let's welcome Jia-Jun.
Hi.
Or JJ?
JJ is good.
Okay.
Easier to remember, right?
Okay, thanks for coming on the show, JJ.
No, pleasure.
So we're gonna start straight to the first question. Maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, I'm JJ. I am 30 this year. I started Province when I was 28. Besides cooking, I really like to look at art. I like to use my hands, so I do pottery a lot. I also like to hit the gym, running as well. It's something I've recently picked up. It helps me de-stress and think about other things besides cooking as well. I read a lot of books just to open my mind up a little bit more within what's happening in the world and also to help expand my creative mindset as well.
Beyond pottery and books, what do we not know about you?
What do you not know about me? Wow, this is a tough question. What do we not know about me? I'm Singaporean, born and bred. That's about it.
Okay, that I can find online. Anything else?
I grew up actually knowing that I wanted to cook since young already.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else, honestly saying. I keep my life very simple, basically, because I do a lot of other things besides running the business as well.
But when did you realize you actually love cooking?
I was waiting for my PSLE scores.
Okay.
I was 12. And I will wake up early in the morning at 7:30. I'm a very energetic person, right? So I would go run, play around in the garden, and then I switched on the TV. It was a time at which my parents are away because my mom's a teacher. She wakes up very early, so that's my game time to go watch TV. I switched it on. Jamie Oliver came up.
Oh.
Yeah, he was cooking pumpkin soup, I remembered, and I was like, this seems fun. I can use my hands. I did it in, I think back then it was called home econs. So I gave it a try. I begged her for more pocket money so I can go buy ingredients. Back then, I think weekly I only got like $10. That's not much. So I started preparing it. It turned out really bad. but in the process, I realized I like to cook, and so I practice a lot at home.
Yeah.
Again, asked my mom, can you bring back fish? Can you bring back more carrots, onions, and things like that so that I can practice at home? And she was just wondering, why is my son cooking? That's usually like a housewife's job or something like that. Yeah, and eventually I took the path of wanting to become a chef. And that was in secondary school, and I had a lot of backlash from that. Yeah, my parents wanted me to do business, wanted me to go study something more generic, maybe go into finance, things like that.
But that's the typical Asian parent mindset, right?
Yeah, that's the typical Asian parent mindset. Yeah. They were very resistant to it. But then I stuck through to it. In poly, I went to Temasek Poly. After that, I actually didn't want to go uni. After army, I went to Manresa, where I eventually became full-time to stage, which is working for free, because it was totally new to me. The fine dining scene was something that was just coming up, and I wanted to just dive myself into the deep end to learn everything I can about it. And coincidentally, it was a farm-to-table restaurant as well. And then I realized, halfway while I was training in army, I was called out into the office, and my officer was telling me, I need to talk to you in the office. And I thought I was going to get punished or something. But eventually he told me, you need to book out tomorrow because you have an interview for uni.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a surprise and shock for me as well. And I was like, I didn't apply for uni. And then he stared at me and said, yeah, this is a message from your mom. I was like, oh no, okay, sure. So I had to go for university at Culinary Institute of America in Singapore. And after that, I I went to Manresa to work full time because I
Okay.
was already offered a job back then, and I wanted it there and then, lah, but I couldn't, lah.
Right. But in the beginning stage, you would consider yourself self-taught?
I was definitely self-taught. I think it came to my instructors were a bit shocked at how fast I could cut things, lah. Yeah, and they actually took care of me quite a bit, and that gave me a lot of encouragement to pursue cooking as well, even though my parents were not encouraging about it. And eventually, they saw that I had the skill set, and they pushed me to do competitions and things like that, which also was something that I was very interested to continue doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year I actually took part in San Pellegrino's Young Chef Academy. I didn't win, but I really was there for the experience at the end of the day, because it was the last time I could take part in it, lah. And I was like, you know what? It's now or never. Once I'm 31, I don't think there's anything else I really want to take part in, and that's why I went for it. And it was intense, but it was really fun. And age does catch up to you, lah. In this case, I don't have that much energy
I
anymore.
mean, age aside,
Yeah.
so now your parents are fully supportive
Yes.
of your journey?
Yeah, they definitely still say, you see, I tell you already, so much hard work. The hours are so long, but then it's something about cooking, the environment, the energy that you get, and especially for me when the guests, they come to eat at the restaurant and they say like, wow, this is really good. I didn't expect this from Southeast Asian cuisine, and that's another push for me. It gives me the edge to want to do better and do more, and also in turn helps my team. And my role as a chef has kind of changed to mentoring, teaching, and passing down my knowledge as well. And my team, looking at the reaction of the guests and with things I teach, they also feel very encouraged, and they want to stay longer, and they want to do more as well, which I'm very happy about. It's something new that I'm also learning.
Rewinding back to your parents, right? Have they dined in province before?
Multiple times.
Oh, do they have a favorite dish?
As Asian parents are, nothing is kind of enough for them
Okay.
to a certain extent, But there are dishes that I have created within the tasting menu that were inspired by them. There are dishes that my mom, she cooks the most at home, and she tells me like, okay, this one is better.
Okay.
But you tell me what you do, and then I do it back home as well. I was like, it's a lot of work. Are you sure you want to, it's like incorporating different techniques that you don't usually do at home.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Yeah, so yes, one or two dishes, mainly a tomato dish that we used to do at province. It just surrounds in terms of the flavors and the ingredient of tomato. That's also something I didn't grow up liking, but eventually, I learned to love it, lah. It's something my dad has kind of cultivated in me. He would force me to try anything and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, as long as it's your first time, you've never tried it before, you try it, and then you decide on your own whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So with that mindset, I also approach and use that in cooking as well.
Very curious.
Very curious.
Okay.
Have that very curious approach to cooking and to food as well. And it has helped me, and that's why I try to pass down to my
So
chefs.
beyond the kitchen, do you cook at home also?
Yes, I actually cook at home as well.
So who's a better cook now, you or your mom?
My mom is still the best, lah.
Ah.
Yeah. Without doubt. There's something about
I think
mom's
mom's
cooking.
watching lah.
most probably. There's something about mom's cooking, right, that really moves you and touches you. I miss that a lot during my time in San Francisco. It was because I've always been cooking French food, and when I get home, I don't want to cook fish in butter again.
Yeah.
I want to have my 蒸鱼, Teochew style steamed fish, my mom's daikon and pork soup, things like that. And I started picking up all these recipes by interpretation. Meaning to say, I want this dish, I remember the taste, and I try to replicate it. It'll never be as close as hers.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of some of the secret seasonings that she put inside that I
And
don't.
sometimes there's no recipe.
No recipe. It's
You
called
have nothing,
kanjue.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
intuition, And
Yeah.
I've seen my mom grow from not knowing how to cook when I was young to where she is now. And there are so many times I ask her, how do you make this salad or this dish? And she would just look at me and say, I don't know, I just mixed everything together.
Yeah, they just say they simply do it, right?
Yeah, they just simply do it.
Chin-chai cook.
Chin-chai cook. Yeah, and that amazes me still because it's a dish that's not outside. It's something that's at home. And I would try to incorporate all these things into the restaurant as well. Yeah, hoping that people would also appreciate it and like it as much as I do back home. And again, I believe that this gives my guests a different experience as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of your restaurant, maybe you can share with us a little bit more about Province and how the idea of starting this restaurant began.
Province is a 10-seater contemporary Southeast Asian restaurant. We are located at 153 Juchet Road. It's near those like colorful Peranakan houses that people like to take photos of.
Yeah.
We are situated actually at the back of another restaurant called 808 Eating House. So we're kind of like a speakeasy fine dining restaurant. To enter, you have to walk through another restaurant before you reach
So it's
Province.
like a hidden restaurant.
Yeah. There's no signage outside. That's intentional because I want people to come in kind of lost, and when they enter, they feel a bit uncomfortable, right? But with our job as the front of house, as the chef, as the sommelier, everything, it's our job to kind of bridge that between the guests and the concept, and to make guests feel uncomfortable might be very unusual to hear, but then it does give us that ice to break rather than already knowing who we are and what we do as well. So that's intentional. We do a tasting menu where we only use ingredients we get locally and regionally, where I've put in time to source from around the region, Thailand, Malaysia, even locally as well. And we do all the plating in front of you, so you see how the layers are built. And we also serve you, and we also explain the dishes. Along the way, if guests have any more questions, you guys can feel free to ask. Don't be paiseh about it.
So it's very conversational as well.
It's very conversational as well.
Not so communal, but very conversational.
Yeah. It's very conversational because I wanted that because it allows me or gives me the opportunity to share a little bit more about why we do what we do, and even simple things like how the dishes are built or where my inspiration comes from as well. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier you were cooking a lot of French food.
Yes.
So what transitioned you to being interested in Southeast Asian food?
In US, I missed my home cooking a lot, right? So I started practicing cooking my mom's steamed fish, daikon soup, bak kut teh, all this without the sachets.
Yeah.
And that made me very curious and very excited about cooking again. I think cooking French food, to a certain point, after learning about it, after cooking it for 6 years, it came to a point whereby I'm not very happy. I cannot connect with the dishes that I'm making. Even incorporating flavor profiles into French sauces or French dishes, it doesn't gel well together, in my opinion. So eventually I decided, you know what? I want to reignite that passion again. I'm going to do Southeast Asian food. It's not just because I can connect to it. It's also something I grew up with, especially in Singapore. Having such a diverse culture and racial community, right? We unknowingly incorporate a lot of all these flavors and ingredients into home cooking, and that's where everything kind of started. And that's why the focus on Southeast Asian. But also incorporating the practices that I've seen and learned at Manresa in Los Gatos and also at Telecren in San Francisco. Both of these restaurants had farms attached to them. And what that does is that you have a good control of all the quality,
Yep.
right? From the seed to how you grow the produce to how you even harvest, in terms of time that you harvest the ingredient to the time that it reaches you. It's within a few hours. Unlike Singapore, it's still within a few days,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because we don't have enough land and experience to grow our own ingredients. But then, I believe that this is a small step to heading towards that direction of being able to be more sustainable, to give guests better quality and value also with what they are enjoying at the restaurant as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why the approach of Southeast Asian food.
Yeah, so for me, when I think of Southeast Asian cuisine, then it comes to mind all the commercial dishes,
Yes.
right? Your tom yum
Yeah.
and your pho and all
Yeah.
that, right? But in a more professional context, can you share with us what do you mean by Southeast Asian cuisine?
I really like that question actually. One thing that I don't do at the restaurant is to kind of recreate
Reinterpret?
another dish,
Okay.
reinterpret another dish. I don't like that because these chefs that have created the dishes in terms of pho, char kway teow, beef rendang, anything
Those
like
classics.
that, those classics have to just stay as
Yeah.
classics. They have done it for 15 to 30 years.
Or even more.
Or even more, exactly,
Yeah.
right? It could have been passed down by generation. And I don't want to do it because it kind of ruins that whole flavor profile or even the dish itself. There are restaurants that do that and I respect them for doing that. Meaning to say they're confident enough to do that, but I myself am not confident enough to do that.
Yeah.
They should just stay as they are. The province, Southeast Asian food is not about recreating those dishes. It's about how I, as a chef, can use the ingredients that I have or the best quality that I can find and create a dish out of it. So that every single time a guest comes in, whether it's repeated or not, it's something different.
Right.
Like there's this recent sauce that I learned from Chef Brian Cole. He's a chef, food researcher and writer as well. He has traveled a lot more than I have. So I learned from him a dish called pamapam itu, which is from Philippines. It's it's a stew essentially made using beef and pork and things like that. So with knowing the structure of dishes, right? I built a sauce made using the same structure. One ingredient is the same, which is burnt coconut flesh, but I incorporate my own personal techniques where I grew up with, right? Before we started, you mentioned about Peranakan cuisine, right? So I started learning that as well from my fiance's family, how to make a proper rempah, how to do things like that.
Yes.
I don't think I'm at the same level, but knowing that skill, I incorporated the aromats within that dish into the form of a rempah with the burnt coconut flesh. And instead of using beef and pork, I imagine the dish to be something more seafood forward. So we use clam stock and clam jus, clam stock and clam meat, and also fish stock as well to make it into a sauce instead of a stew. And the other components are brought together to complement that sauce, not the other way around. So yeah, like I mentioned, I don't reinterpret anything. I learn the components and then I see how I can blend them together better. People always mistake it as fusion, but it really isn't.
Right.
It's maybe because the way the dish is received,
Yeah.
with all the different components, very English, European looking, that people connect that to fusion. I don't like to call it that. It's Southeast Asian food because of the way the ingredients are sourced and because the people in the kitchen that are making it are also from Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I think this is something that will come a long way because it's very hard to change the idea of fusion food because it's a very layman term, right? Everybody will call it fusion because we are so used to it, right? To mix two different cultures together. But from what you are saying, what I would understand is that it's about understanding the fundamentals
Yes.
and then using the fundamentals to kind of build the recipes.
Yes.
But
that's right.
do you actually like change your recipes very often? Is the menu constantly changing?
The menu is constantly changing from day one to the last day. So we change our menu every quarterly.
Okay.
So we follow the seasons, and people are always very kind of question that idea. Oh, the seasons within the region. I
Yeah.
was like, yes, there is. There are micro seasons,
Mhm.
and what it means is that, like, one of the farms that I sourced from is called Meta Organic. They are located up in the mountains in Chiang Mai, and because it's a very cold environment, it allows them to grow many things that we don't usually see within Southeast Asia. You know, tomatoes, kohlrabi, turnips, peas, sweet peas even, you know, and I think that brought a lot of surprise to people. And I think it's about really sharing it with them, you know, whether they remember it or not, that's their thing. But then it is possible, you know. You just have to take the time to understand why it is what it is and how it's grown. And that's still my job now at Province as well, you know, to further find ingredients that are interesting as well, you know, not just new lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just new. Yeah.
I think sometimes you don't need novelty, but it's really to just like, you know, bring forward something that's interesting through
Yes.
through food.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that you're not just stimulating their appetite, but you're also stimulating their minds
Yeah.
with your stories and also the experiences that you have
Yeah.
with the cultivators and farmers.
Yes. So
Yeah.
along the way, you know, I definitely do share during the dining experience where I get certain things from. The intention is to share about the farmers, what they do, and how we come about finding it as well. You know, and that's a big part of the experience at Province because I really want people to know. I want them to be aware that it's possible to have all this. You know, again, you just have to find your time to look at the right places.
Yeah, I want to talk about like how you speak about how you don't interpret, right?
Yes.
But through modern interpretations, we spoke earlier just now, like how easily traditional food or things that are already so established are easily commercialized or, lack of a better word, bastardized. Especially when it comes to Peranakan cuisine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, really?
I think that the reason why people do that is that it's easier to receive. It's easier for people to understand the dish itself. It's a lot more work in terms of what we do at Province, where we create something totally new.
Yeah.
And when we try to explain, people don't always get it.
Yep.
I still have people come in and say, like, you know, I wish there was ikura. I wish there was uni on the plate. You know, I think people do that because it's an easier reference point for them, and that's also okay. You know, whether it's done well or not, you know, that's up to them. But then, I think people do that out of maybe a certain level of necessity, that they are still running a business. That, you know, we still have to have something that people would say, okay, I know this dish. I want to try your version of it and see whether I will like it. And that helps to actually build repeated guests, you know, knowing or unknowingly. People do come back for certain dishes here and there. Yeah, but at Province, you won't have the same dish twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But what has been the general feedback from your customers so far on this concept?
There are always two sides of the story for this. I have a bigger part or bigger community that appreciate what I do, because the idea of being more sustainable, that approach has to come from the way you eat. That's one of the only ways to do it, right? Besides other material things like where you source your cups or bags from.
Yeah.
So in terms of food, it's half your life. You have to eat,
Yeah.
right? And by sharing it with them, they realize that, oh, I can be more sustainable, right? And I can get tomatoes not just from Japan. You know, I can get this quality fish of maybe snapper, right, from this guy, from this farm. I can get sweet corn, chewy glutinous rice sweet corn from Thailand, from this area. and that has been very encouraging for me because like people actually do understand and receive that very well, and that has pushed my team and I to go do more, for the community as well, to share more. But there's also the other side of the coin or the story of which like it's not worth my time and my money. Yeah, and that's the part that's always most challenging. I don't think it's my job really to steer the mindset of people, but it's just a form of encouragement. Whether they understand and like it and eventually follow it, it's really up to them. I do my best in terms of executing the delicious dishes, right? And if they receive it well, they receive it well. Yeah.
Let's maybe talk about your journey a little bit. You travel around the region and the world to source for the best produce.
Yes.
You also met a lot of people along the way. You worked in a lot of amazing restaurants.
Right.
What has been the most beautiful encounter in your journey so far?
I would like to share maybe two encounters. First is my journey as a chef growing up. I've met a wonderful mentor, Chef Kirk at Jean. He's 2 Michelin star chef at Swiss Hotel. He is one of the most patient and nicest chefs I've met. He was my mentor for the competition, and he understood what I was trying to do, and he gave me a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to share during the competition, and also at the restaurant as well. So from time to time, I do drop him texts on certain things like, oh, how did you do this? How do you do that? And he was always very willing to share. And that has really kind of opened my eyes up to how the community, in the chef's community specifically, has changed. Back in the day, when you want to learn something from a chef, it's like, you work for me for another 10 years and I'll give you that recipe for that one sauce. But now chefs are more open to sharing. And I think that's very helpful. Right. The second story would be during my travels. I mentioned about Meta Organic. When I arrived, it was just straight into the farm. I was plucking all the leaves. I didn't even wash them. I just started eating it, and it amazed me how tasty the ingredients were.
Yeah.
There was a bag of peas, and they say, oh, those are lower quality ones, but we consume them on our own. We don't throw them away. Or we turn them into fertilizers and then we fertilize the soil again. And when I tasted it, it was so sweet. It was so good. So what happened was that Pachu, her name, she took those ingredients and she cooked a meal for us. And the meal was a vegetarian meal. There was no meat, there was no proteins. Everything was from the farm. And it was one of the tastiest meals I've had in a long time. Like being able to be there to even help them out. I saw that they were very happy with what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that really showed in the way that they taught people. They actually built this community of their own to teach the villagers how to practice organic farming.
Yep.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like organic farming, to be even certified, you have to measure your soil.
It's so regulated.
Everything is very regulated. So that really showcased in the produce that was grown. And after enjoying and eating that, I realized that finding the right people, as long as they're happy with what they're doing, the end result is always going to be very good. And she was the one that really made me realize that she is still doing what she's doing. She's still passing that knowledge down to other villagers, and it has really helped her community grow.
Yeah.
Now they have like good water supply, they have electricity, they even have a school now that she has also started, to help the kids learn so that they can eventually go to university and things like that. And I think that's a beautiful thing that she's doing.
Especially moving forward, right?
Yes.
But you mentioned just now also like how like many years ago, if you want to learn something from a chef, you probably need to cut onions for 10 years
Yeah.
or scrub the pots for 5 years more.
Yes.
But what is it like for you right now as a chef in your generation? And I mean, to be a chef in this generation, what is it like right now actually?
I think it's that connotation, that negative connotation of being a chef has changed a lot, right? Like I mentioned, my parents are very resistant about it. 没有前途, as they
And
call
this
it.
is not too long ago, yeah? This
Not
is probably
too
like
long
in the
ago.
last 2 decades or less.
Yeah, exactly. Slightly less than 2 decades. But the idea of becoming a chef has changed because being a chef is not just about feeding people anymore. You know, you have a better or bigger impact in terms of the environment, in terms of how you can encourage people to change their lifestyle even, to become more sustainable, more environmentally friendly, to think about food as not just a canvas to relay your messages. You know, it's a bridge between building a community, teaching people, and also passing it to your guests.
Yep.
And from there, that network or that branches out to their own communities and builds a bigger and better kind of environment, ecosystem that people can learn from. Right? The newer generations of chefs, they have a very easy way to learn things now. They have the internet, they have a lot more books to read, and they have chefs who are better at communicating steps, skills to them. You know, and I think people or chefs should really take advantage of that. It's not that easy, you know. Like for me, now I don't gatekeep anything. You want to learn something, I'll tell you. And I'm also the kind of individual that would say, for example, my chef wants to learn something new. If I don't know how to do it, I'll tell you, I don't know how to do it. Sorry. But I'll go learn. And then once I've learned it, I'll pass it on to you.
Right.
You know, and then we'll refine it together. And you'll learn that skill on your own. And you can take that skill up. And that's for you and you only.
So it's very encouraging. It's very like kind of like nurturing at the same time.
Yes.
So you help one another to grow.
Yes. So they've taught me a lot. I think, you know, growing up, I watch a lot of Gordon Ramsay videos. I'm always like scolding chefs. You know, I have my part of that.
Still is.
He still is. He still is. But I have my fair share of that as well, in terms of experiencing it and also giving it, unfortunately. But that has changed within the past couple of years. You know, my chefs have taught me to be a lot more patient, to learn how to communicate to an individual extent. You know, like, okay, when I'm communicating to Chef Sean, this is how I need to communicate. When I'm communicating it to Chef Jia-Jun, this is how I need to communicate it. People all learn at very different levels, and it's my job to be able to maybe break it down into bite-sized portions so that they understand that as well. You know, that old environment of shouting and screaming has really changed.
Yep.
You know, and I appreciate it a lot more. And it has made me a better person, not just a chef as well. When I go out, meet people, when I talk and go into the discussion of things, you know, it helps me think a lot clearer as well.
Yeah. And also speaking about how you travel around the region and you've met a lot of regional farmers, cultivators and fishermen. Coming back to Singapore, what do you want to actually cultivate in your scene?
Wow. I want to first, I think this is a long 10-year, 5-year plan that I have. But I want to first build the awareness of like the quality ingredients we can get first with our guests. I want to be able to establish that, you know, and eventually I want to help them as well. The farmers, they put in so much work to even grow a simple tomato, for example. Right? They have to tender to the crops every day, water it 2 to 3 times a day at the right timings. You cannot pass the timings because it will damage the crop, you know, and the end result of it is it won't be as good of quality. And for them to consistently do that, it's mentally and physically tiring, right? and I want to be able to share this with the guests that come to the province, build the awareness, then eventually I hope to be able to build that supply chain so that I can connect all these farms to a bigger community, to a community that would want to live sustainably, who would like to support these farms as well. Because like I mentioned, they don't do this for money.
Yeah.
They do this because it helps other people and their own individual communities
Yep.
as well. So I actually get rice from Thailand, from Mae Hong Song. I took like this.
That's somewhere near Chiang Mai, right?
Yeah. I took this 16 hours bus ride because they cancelled my flight from Bangkok all the way to Mae Hong Song. And then after that, I took another 3-hour motorbike ride all the way up to that rice farm. And the varietal is called Bretana. It's short grain rice. Because it's grown in a cold environment, it's short grain. They're both white and brown rice. The rice is so sweet, so fragrant. It has this very nice minerally smell, earthy smell to it as well, which I really appreciate. And it's also something that was very new for me, right? And what Achu Maleho does for his village, he wants to continue to be able to share about his village, their culture, what they do with the community in Thailand. And he has also passed this knowledge down to other villages as well, in terms of helping them build a chain to sell their produce as well. And I thought that was very nice because they also have improved in terms of their livelihood, right? Their knowledge as well and education. And they too are able to build a small school for their kids to learn about all these things. And that's what I'm trying to do as well, indirectly. You know, as long as I'm able to support them, they will in turn be able to support their own community. And I'm hoping that, you know, by doing this, building an awareness first, and then slowly building that chain to sell these ingredients to the guests.
Yeah.
You know,
But
it will
I
help.
think the improvement in their livelihood is also basically from community ambassadors like you. Like one of it lah, you know, you and other chefs as well, I believe, in the region that are helping them have that kind of opportunities.
Yes.
Like, you know, to channel something that they do, maybe on a smaller scale, and then elevate that and expanding that to a bigger scale.
Yes.
And hopefully one day, you never know, right?
So it's, I mean, life is hard, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to not just build a legacy as a lot of people want to. It's more, I think, about giving back to people.
And also living very meaningfully, which is what I feel you are doing right now. The 成就感, you know, the fulfillment is so great when you are touching the lives of so many individuals along the way. But like being in this community, maybe you can share with us why the community itself is so important to you and the food industry.
It's very important because the world is changing. You know, global warming, all these things. It's very apparent. People just maybe don't register it as immediately. You know, like the past couple of months, you see monsoon, but now it's in parts, right? Small waves here and there, and I register that, and I see that the environment is changing. By doing this and sharing it with the community, you'll help to, in a small way, at least change the way people will approach buying ingredients. And how does that affect the environment? It reduces carbon footprint by quite a bit. Rather than buying Japanese rice flown from Japan, or buying a kohlrabi or a turnip or a vegetable from Europe that's shipped here and things like that. You know, this way of approaching food in that sense would help the environment, however small or big it is. You know, I believe that it's a lot of work, but we have to always approach things in small steps. And as we gather these small these small steps, it's in a long duration of time, it's a big improvement. Yeah, and that's why it's so important to be able to share, to be able to tell people and let people know that this I think has to be kind of a new way of life
It's
for the
also a
future as well.
collective effort, I
It's also a
believe.
collective effort.
Yeah, 'cause-
One individual can never succeed.
No.
You can never succeed as one individual.
Yeah. So speaking about collective effort, right? We also see a rise in forehand experiences and guest shifts across the region. What are your thoughts on this idea of collaboration?
I think it's a wonderful thing, honestly saying. It helps for me personally as a chef. I can learn a lot from another chef, right? I believe that growth comes internally and externally. And internally, you can always do that, reading your books, watching videos, everything. But to be able to collab and work physically with someone, to understand the way their mind thinks, the way they approach food, it's also something that's very interesting, very new, right? And I believe that as in collaborations, it's always an exchange of knowledge, right? I like to do collabs whereby we throw ourselves in the deep end and we come up with new dishes rather than say, okay, you do one dish, I do one dish, and so forth. I think it gives, firstly, us as collaborators a better understanding of how to work together, right? To understand each other, our own individual microcultures in our own restaurants, and how can we bring that together and combine that to make this collab a very unique and different one, right? And in that sense, our team would all benefit from it.
Right.
The community would even benefit from it, right? Like your guests, they come in, they will look at a dish and say, oh, this is from this restaurant, and that is from that restaurant. Right? It's rather than, oh, this is combination of the minds and the creativity of the chefs at work. And it's going to be different and I believe more enjoyable for them as well.
Of course.
Because it's something more novel.
Yep. Speaking about collaboration, if you can choose one person dead or alive to collab with or share the kitchen with, who would it be?
Oh,
and why?
Chef Tam at bountiful in Thailand.
Oh.
Yeah. First, she's one of the rising female chefs, and I think that's a very big thing. Being recognized. I believe that we shouldn't be recognized as male or female anymore. We should be recognized as chefs, right? As a single entity rather than female and male. The reason for that is because it's hard work, right? Why do you want to differentiate this gender? If someone is good, recognize them as who they are and what they are and what they do. The reason why I really want to work with her is because she has created that microculture and community of her own. She has a farm right at the restaurant. She works with farms around the region and she only uses those ingredients. It's hard to do, and the fact that she has done it to such a high level is very respectable and something that I really want to learn from and hopefully be able to practice as well. I think throughout the years of her work, she has achieved so much to this point, and I believe that she still wants to continue to grow, and I would like to learn and work with her, and that's why the collab if I can
Actually, JJ, you're quite a very good storyteller.
Oh, thank you.
The way you speak is so eloquent. Like if you are at that restaurant every day, do you speak like that to your guests as well?
Yes.
The same tone, same manner?
Okay, to be frank, right? I think we were talking about social battery. I always share as much as I can, but my energy is not always the same.
Okay.
It really varies, and unfortunately, it's because everyone has a limited amount of energy, right? I definitely pick and choose who I want to share things with, right? Unfortunately or fortunately, when a guest approaches me with a lot of questions, my energy does come in.
It's a stimulator for you.
It's a stimulator for me.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I tend to then eventually drag on lah, talk a lot, and then I'll come and say, hey, I'm not sharing too much, right?
Yeah, sometimes they have an
Yeah.
indicator, do not talk to me, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes, I have guests that come in, oh, okay.
Or leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Just using the phone. Even couples,
Yep.
use their phone. And then at the back, we would gossip a little bit. Say, aren't they out for a date? Like, you come here, it's usually for a date, right? What are you all using your phones, So yeah, I definitely do sometimes pick and choose. But in general, I've been very fortunate that people are actually very interested in what I do. And again, it's very encouraging for me to be able to share my approach,
Yep.
my ideas with them. And I hope that they take something away from that, and it creates actually a better experience for them as well.
So for those who don't know, like how long does it take to dine in province?
In province. So at the restaurant, we do 2 seatings. Each seating is 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's quite fast paced,
Yep.
if you ask me. But the reason for that is because we're such a small scale restaurant.
Correct.
Only 10 seats.
Yeah.
We are still a business, we still have to survive. So we have to do 2 turns, unfortunately, right? But within that 1 hour, 45 minutes, we definitely do break things down into bite-sized portions to be able, for guests, to be able to understand that, what we do as well. Sometimes it might feel a little bit of a rush. So a lot of my regulars have asked me, are you going to move out of here? And I look at them and they look at me, it's like a little bit difficult because the market is quite difficult right now, right? But yes, that is definitely my goal at the end of the day, to have a restaurant, sit-down restaurant. I will still keep the bar, but there will also be tables, and you don't have to rush through the meal anymore. I can actually showcase a lot more. I can share a lot more as well, and hopefully I can do that within the next couple of years.
Will it come with a farm?
Will it come with a farm? I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I had ideas of opening up somewhere else. I've never visited Vietnam,
Okay.
to be frank. And I've heard so much about the kind of herbs and greens that they have.
And
the seafood
different
they have
produce
also.
as you travel
Yeah.
up north.
Yeah, and I really, really want to explore that. And hopefully I can find the time when I expand as well.
Hopefully I can tag along.
Can come. No, really, it'll be very fun. Yeah, it'll be very fun.
Okay, before we move on to the next question, maybe we want to play a little rapid fire game with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
So it's very easy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mention 2 dishes and you just need to pick a favorite.
Okay. Can.
Okay?
Yeah.
You
let's
get
go.
how it's being done?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start.
Can.
All right? So, roti canai or prata?
Prata.
Clearly, he has not tried roti canai.
No.
Prata or kaya butter toast?
Kaya butter toast at Ya Kun. Yeah.
Bias. Okay.
Bias, yes.
Kaya butter toast or banh mi?
Kaya butter toast.
Kaya butter toast or bak chor mee?
Bak chor mee.
Bak chor mee or Singapore fried bee hoon?
Bak chor mee.
Bak chor mee or mee siam?
Mee siam. I like acid. Yeah. So
Mee siam or pad thai?
Mee siam. Yeah.
Mee siam or pho?
Mee siam.
Mee siam or the best Assam laksa in town?
Assam laksa. That one for sure. Yeah.
Assam laksa or Katong laksa?
Assam laksa.
Assam laksa or Thai green curry?
Assam laksa.
Assam laksa or Tom Yam Gong?
Tom yam gong. Yeah.
Tom Yam Gong or sinigang?
Sinigang. Yeah.
Sinigang or bakso?
Sinigang. Yeah.
Sinigang or bak kut teh?
Bak kut teh. I love a good bak kut teh. I always love a bak kut
Do you have a
teh.
favorite?
I like. There's one along Joo Chiat, just nice.
Okay.
That's down the road. They do a mix of herbal and peppery, and I
Okay.
think it's the best of both worlds. I know people have like this.
Malaysian or Singaporean?
Oh, I prefer Singapore. I grew up with it. Unfortunately, I grew up with it. Yeah.
Okay, we gotta continue, okay?
Can.
Bak kut teh or adobo?
Adobo.
Wow, he switched so fast.
Yeah, adobo.
Adobo or Jollibee?
Adobo.
Adobo or ikan bakar?
Ikan bakar. I like seafood.
Ikan bakar or satay?
Satay. Satay.
Satay or nasi lemak?
Satay.
Satay or Hainanese chicken rice?
Satay.
Satay or char kway teow?
Char kway teow. For sure, char kway teow. Yeah.
He kept changing. So the ultimate favorite is char kway teow?
Char kway teow. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I remember I was on my off day, right? And then my fiancée and I went to JB. It was a Monday. We didn't expect anything. We thought it was going to be very quiet. And then at the back of KSL, there was this street food, a market. And then we were walking and we were just eating as we always do. And there was this char kway teow. You confirm know it's nice. You know, it's Malaysian style char kway teow. The wok hei was something you can never get in Singapore. You know, and I wish I can go back and have it again. Yeah, I really wish I can go back and have it again.
Sometimes the best food is like the simplest ones, right?
Yes. And I think that really goes back to, you know, dishes, very, very simple dishes that are bastardized. I think char kway teow is one of those things that you don't touch. You know, beef rendang is also one of those things you don't touch.
Until they make char kway teow ice cream or something lah, you know.
No, I don't like. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
So on a serious note, right, what do you hope to see happening in the F&B scene here in Singapore and the region in the near future?
I definitely hope that the approach to, or the idea of what Southeast Asian fine dining will change. It is something that's slowly picking up, but definitely there has always been a lot of resistance still. Hopefully that will change. Because when that changes, it will help the community a lot better.
Of course.
Yeah, and the farms that I get things from as well.
Yeah. And do you have anything you'd like to say to your community?
Thank you so much for supporting me for the past 2 years. You know, I think without my regular new guests that come by, and to the farm and chefs that have helped me, I'm very thankful and grateful for the help that I've gotten. I don't think I could have come this far without them at all. We're still a very young restaurant, honestly saying. I'm also still a very young chef, and I'm always learning. And it's something that I think that has helped me is being very open to asking questions, and for people to ask me questions as well. And when people give you feedback, it depends, but you have to filter through. You have to learn to filter through. But feedback is always good for growth, good or bad, you know, and take it with a positive note to it, right? And that way you can be a better person as well.
And last question. On the scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself right now?
I think it's Asian in me. I would say about 6.5.
You're very critical.
Yeah. My parents brought me on that way. No. But I've always been very hard on myself.
Okay.
And there's a lot more room for growth. Not just at the restaurant, but also the community that I'm trying to build. There's a lot more things for us to do, and we hope that we can do it and achieve it in 10, 20 years' time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a long game.
That's all. So thank you for
thank you.
being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's very fun.